valuation turns it at 144 down.
Got a gain. There's a lot of risk out there. We're going to see what data this week can actually shake up markets.
How much risk do you really want to put on a volatile summer month ahead of some potentially game-changing figures?
Yeah, remember, it's not going to figure this out anyway. But these things are covered and I guess we can take a look ahead.
Simon Matthew of Morgan Stanley Private Wealth Management. We'll be doing this next. Stick with it.
I am always optimistic.
Let's go back a little, maybe the beginning. My story's filled with ups and downs, plenty of heartache and heartbreak, but through it all, there's joy, purpose, and smiles. I grew up down east in Grimesland, about 20 minutes outside of Greenville in rural eastern North Carolina. It was overwhelmingly black, incessantly positive, and economically diverse. It was rural and fun in the community that raised me. My parents were instrumental in giving me perspective, the idea that my life is not solely my own. I was born into the privilege of my ancestors and my community, and as a consequence, I have a duty to carry my leg of the race. I felt that responsibility from an early age, and I think that urge to do my part continues to show up in my work. Both of my parents were activists in their own right. Returning home to rural eastern North Carolina to start a family and improve the communities they grew up in, after years of working in DC, New York City, and Atlanta. My first lessons in social change came from my mom. In the late 70s, she returned to teach at the predominantly black grade school she attended as a child. As one of the first black educators since desegregation, she recruited others to her cause. In the early years, angry parents would watch her classroom, worried about their kids' education. Her solution was to involve every parent in her lesson plans. By the second week, most parents were gone, and those who stayed became her staunchest allies. I understood from an early age by watching my father the idea that there is a value in having someone invest in you. My dad did not have a wealthy relative, so he had to become his own rich uncle.
I was raised on an 80-acre farm, and I mean, we farmed. I mean, I came from that for real. And that's why they say everyone else left and went to college, because we don't want to deal with it. When I was working a regular job, it was kind of hard to get up in the morning. But when I started doing this entrepreneurial stuff, different small businesses or whatever, I could wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be ready to go. I could not wait for the sun to come up. The capitalization is the key. When you're uncapitalized, it's hard to make a business work. And when you're small, it's hard to borrow money.
Both of my parents were proud HBCU alums, and I followed in their footsteps. I went to NC Central University on a full academic scholarship. It was there that I came to fully understand and embrace my own history and culture. I loved finance, and after graduating from Central, I learned to underwrite commercial credit as an analyst at M&F Bancorp. I had always dreamed of working with stocks, but M&F let me learn commercial credit while working for a black financial institution with ties back to Reconstruction, something that deeply resonated with me. Getting my MBA at UNC taught me entrepreneurship, impact investing, and social enterprise, in addition to introducing me to a brilliant network of collaborators that helped launch me into the next phase of my career, starting with my work at Self-Help.
So when Napoleon first came to work at Self-Help, he worked directly with me. I sent him down to become the interim leader of a black credit union in Kinston that would otherwise have failed and be liquidated. And it was the primary lending source for 3,000 or 4,000 families, and Napoleon turned it around. Well, no sooner had he finished that one, we had another credit union in Charlotte. And I was like, okay, Napoleon, get in your car, drive down there, and we again turned around a credit union that otherwise would have been liquidated and put out of business.
It's hard to hold your ethics and values in a sector like finance with all the profiteering and bad actors. But Martin has held that line. He taught me to see opportunities and hold my morality while pursuing them. Deciding to work at Self-Help instead of a venture capital firm gifted me a lifelong mentor in Martin and everything he taught me about social change. My time at Self-Help was formative in my thinking about black wealth building. I left to go to Detroit to deepen my impact investing chops as the social investment officer of the Cressy Foundation. We did some great things, but then North Carolina pulled me back to serve as the Deputy Secretary of Commerce. Picking the state's Department of Commerce over a career in philanthropy meant that I'd probably earn less in the short run, and I'd definitely have less job security. But it showed me the power of public service, the diversity of needs right here in my home state, and the universe of obvious and unlikely allies that would help me build my future companies.
Napoleon has always been the strongest advocate for minority-owned businesses. He's always been the one in the room who has a different idea and an innovative way of doing things. His leadership and his ability to work across differences and really stay focused on a common goal is a unique trait.
And it is shown throughout his career, the bright mind and the intellect to not only address specific problems, but look at the broader picture to understand where we're going as a society, where we're going as a state and national economy. He has really been able to focus in on solutions that have global implication. And when you step back and you look at it, you realize just the significance of his work and of his thoughts.
The historical divide has been that labor is people of color, while entrepreneurs and equity owners are white men. It made me think about how those factors of production have played out over the years to drive the racial wealth divide, and what we can do to remedy that.
I remember very early on, like very early in our relationship, he used to be like, I believe that I can change the world. Like, I really believe that I can. There was a point where he decided that he wanted to go full-time into starting these businesses. He just came to me and he asked, could I have just 2 years just to do everything I can and put everything I can into getting these businesses started. And it means I'm gonna travel and I'm gonna be gone a lot. But can you give me that?
Without Eddie's support, encouragement, and acceptance, this leg of my career and realization of my vision would never have been possible. She is my truest partner, and her faith in me means everything. This final pivot of choosing entrepreneurship over a steady job proved to be the riskiest, but also most rewarding. Yes, it meant working constantly in zero long-term job security, but it also gave me, my companies, and my co-founders the opportunity to bring my entire self and beliefs and priorities to bear every day for the benefit of my communities. Many cities have developed systems that prioritize property and its owners above the needs of people, particularly those with low incomes. To prove that, we started Activist, which really brought out the extractive nature of much of municipal finance and is starting to bring out alternatives. Activist had made a name pointing out the extractive policies some cities impose on their own citizens. After the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, we exposed the fines and fees that were keeping down Black and other communities of color.
Right after Michael Brown's death in 2015, one of the things that we learned as we kind of started making relationships in Ferguson is about what led to this fatal encounter between Mike Brown and the police. And it wasn't just, a one-off. There was actually a systemic practice that Ferguson was balancing its budgets on the backs of, its local residents. We know that there's communities across the country like Ferguson that are, Black and brown communities that are catching hell from policing practices or extractive development policies that are neither good for the financial health of that community, nor are they good for the residents. We wanted to push regulators, we wanted to push rating agencies and analysts and investors to really start to think about, this dynamic of valuing property over people and flipping that on its head to think about people over property.
And now Activist also manages the Fire Fund, a first-of-its-kind fixed income fund that invests in cities, companies, and nonprofits to advance racial equity and fiscal justice.
That new product is our first attempt to really realize sort of a multi-pronged strategy to realize some of the initial insights that Napoleon had in terms of what communities need in terms of access to capital.
My career has been based on a few key insights. From a purely relational perspective, friendly equity is superior to traditional debt in most ways. We've never trusted Main Street Black businesses with equity. It's been more profitable to burden them with debt. If we are serious about a just economy, this must change. Think of equity as a promise of partnership and debt as a promise cheapened by interest and the threat of collection. Historically, across the finance industry, there has been a propensity to offer debt as a primary only solution to financing needs for Black and brown communities. Those poor options for capital create suboptimal opportunities to accomplish business goals. For low wealth and communities of color, this proliferation of debt-based finance has made them less resilient to economic downturns and business cycles. By co-investing with them in the equity, the down payment, they started building their own equity, giving them an asset they could leverage for more credit or use for rental income and give to their kids. That's why we started Partners in Equity, to help Black business owners buy the commercial properties where they run their businesses. Partners in Equity is really the vehicle for the mainstreaming of equity.
The investees that we work with have very distinct needs on the capital structures that they need and the creativity that they need in order to create equity. And doing so in a private capacity allows us to work and be creative without our hands being tied on delivering products to those business owners.
This is vitally important, especially now that ESG and DI are under assault, because it's clear that impact investing has fallen short of the promise to create substantive change in Black, brown, and modest wealth communities. This shortfall is partially due to a lack of diversity among asset owners and advisors, partially due to an inability to scale novel impact strategies, and partially due to a lack of impact accountability and incentives to change. That's why we started Southern Reconstruction Fund. SRF is working to scale the capital and capacity of Southern communities to finally fulfill the promise of Reconstruction.
We started off of what the unfulfilled promise of Reconstruction could and should be. We were thinking about this work. We were really brought into with some early funding from two really courageous family members, ancestral ties to the Wilmington Massacre. As we think about real change in our communities, that doesn't happen in $100,000 short-term grant cycles. We need to start that conversation at least in the billions. And so for us, particularly if we're talking about Black communities, we said that had to run through the South. 55% of Black communities are based in the South. If you actually touch 6 Southern cities, you'll touch 50% of undercapitalized Black communities. So Memphis, Birmingham, New Orleans, Charlotte, Houston, and Atlanta. You look at 90% of the families that identify as rural Black families are actually located in the South. And so you have the largest concentration of Black communities that are in the South and the largest concentration of undercapitalized Black communities that are in the space.
Our capital is patient, affordable, and flexible, giving our investees the time, space, and trust to fully direct and pursue their own visions of impact and prosperity.
I've known Napoleon now for 15 years. We went to Kingdom Flagler Business School together. He, in many ways, is an inspiration to me to go down this route of what it looks like to be an impact investor, what it looks like to be a mission-aligned investor, and how you can do so by working with communities of color and helping to address some of the inequities that we see on a daily basis.
It's all geared towards building ecosystems for Black wealth creation, not just doing one thing, but doing all the things we know are critical for success. We're going to be a movement that funds cities based on the fiscal justness of their budgets and operations through activists. We're going to make equity available to Main Street entrepreneurs for the first time and turn an entire community of commercial tenants into owners through PI. We're going to put money into novel concepts as early as we can through SRF, into ImpactAlpha thesis with potential for transformative change.
As long as we're able to be courageous and to say what we know to be true and to speak from the facts that we have about what's happening in our communities, we have a tremendous opportunity right now to fundamentally change the way that our systems work. And I think activists is a small part of that, but there's a movement of folks that are actually reimagining things in a very different way, and that's really exciting.
And so that was our agreement. He had 2 years to do everything he could to get his businesses up and off the ground. And it was successful and it was working. And then he got ALS and we had COVID. So everything got grounded. So.
Hello, it's me, Napoleon. I'm reaching out with a message. As any of you that have spoken to me in the past few months have noticed, I sound a little bit different. The reason for that is I have ALS.
While we face challenges in our lives, Napoleon serves as a role model to all of us to keep moving forward, to stay committed to your purpose and your passion. And others are drawn to that. And that's what he's been able to do as well, is build a team of people and supporters.
Always bringing other people along. He has collaborators for all of these different ventures and projects, and it's always encouraging other people to bring forth their ideas.
My work was really about directly confronting white institutions and white leaders, working with foundation executives or senior staff at a foundation or local leaders to really confront directly the ways that white supremacy shows up in our institutions, for instance. That's what I did, right? And that was what my work at Frontline was. And what Napoleon was about was like, yeah, I know they're doing that, but let's focus on building economic opportunity for Black communities. And so in many ways, it was a really important marriage because I definitely needed to think more deeply about how these financial systems worked and didn't have that analysis or that knowledge prior to working with Napoleon. And I think hopefully I helped sort of shape and mold some of his analysis around race and racism as well.
Napoleon has put it front and center for us of how we should approach it and the kind of tenacity that we should be approaching it with. Where he is today is not where he's always been physically, but mentally, you know, he's light years beyond where he was last year.
He works in a way there's a lasting impact. It's not just for that day or that week. He truly works in a way that there's generational impact in people's lives, and that's special.
I didn't really understand it. I still don't understand it. But I'm proud of him because, you know, I would have checked out. You know, I don't know if I had the mental fortitude to do what he's doing. I wonder sometimes why, you know, like why him, why the good ones, you know? That's why, they're the strong ones.
Brilliance with great heart and the passion to do something new that people haven't done before. Those three things together make Napoleon a force in the world and a force for good. 20 years from now, people will be thinking about Napoleon's courage and the things he started that others of us needed to pick up and finish to make the world a better place.
Welcome, Napoleon. I'm so happy to see you.
You were a lot taller than I remember.
This job grows on you. Napoleon Wallace, his resume, sterling. It's not an exaggeration to say that he generated an innovative idea almost every single day. Therefore, it is my great honor to present Napoleon Wallace with membership in the state's highest honorary society, the Order of the Longleaf Pine.
Governor Cooper, thank you for this award. The Order of the Longleaf is a prestigious honor, and I am truly grateful to have my contributions acknowledged in this way. And I will continue to build and create for the benefit of our great state for as long as the universe allows.
In the years since my ALS diagnosis, a lot has changed. I've been known for a booming voice, gregarious demeanor, and a verbose style. It's been a transition to go from being a vocal CEO to more of a quiet leader, but it has its benefits. I talk a lot less and listen more. I know many people won't believe me, but it's a gift. I'm able to remove all the distracting elements in my life and to focus my mind and energy on the things that matter. Family, friends, and the work. A mantra of my youth goes that you've got nothing to complain about, and even if you do, no one wants to hear it. Looking back, it's a bit grittier than the more common advice to make lemonade from the lemons life gives you, but the proof's in the pudding. Despite setbacks, obstacles, and disappointment, I believe there is still opportunity, potential, and even joy. As long as you keep working and looking for the good, the upside, the silver lining, it will be there every time. You just have to be ruthlessly dogged in your pursuit of it.
I can't imagine Napoleon not working. Like, I can't, like, he just cares so much about this. I couldn't imagine him stopping. I just don't think it would be a life that he would want to live.
I am always optimistic about the direction of the work. Finding the will and courage to take action is what we are trying to solve.